Right, hello everybody, I'm Dredu.
And I'm Devil. And yes, and you're listening to RPGadka podcast. And
And
today we have a special guest. Our guest is Jason Durao from Chaosium. Uh,
hello
Jason,
Jason.
can you tell us a few words about yourself, about your experience as a game master and game designer?
Okay, I am an American living in Germany, in Berlin. I mostly, until recently, worked in the MMO industry for computer games, and then I became a full-time pen and paper editor and designer. But I've been doing freelance pen and paper game writing and designing for about 25 years. I've done work for uh, a lot of different companies, a lot of different licensed games, a lot of original games. Some of the first work I did was for Amber Diceless Role-Playing. I was connected with Chaosium's Stormbringer and Elric games way back in the day. Um, uh, did a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons for a few companies. Wrote some articles in a lot of fanzines. Did a lot of work with Guardians of Order for their Silver Age Sentinels and their Game of Thrones RPG. Did a lot of work with Mongoose for their Conan game, and some editing and some proofreading for a lot of their different titles. And then I wrote the big gold book of basic role-playing for Chaosium, and since then, I've just done a lot of RPG stuff. Mostly in the last 5 years, it's been work with Modiphius on Octum Cthulhu, with Cubicle 7 on World War Cthulhu, and with Chaosium on RuneQuest. So that is the majority of how I spend time. I was with Chaosium on RuneQuest and a few other games that I can't.
wow, just wow.
Yes, I know who I was inviting. So
Oh yeah. Oh, and yeah, Margaret Weis Productions. I did some stuff for Serenity, I guess, back in the day. So, yeah, I forget all the stuff I've worked on. It's crazy.
Wow, it is crazy,
yeah,
it is crazy. Wow, just wow. Oh, I'm
And
speechless
yeah,
to know where to go from here now.
sorry, I think I'm one of these ninjas in the industry who I've been just plugging away for like 25 years or so, and it never really felt like it would amount to anything. And now I look back and I have a pretty solid track record in the gaming space. But again, since I work full time, that's where things have really come together. My work on Conan and RuneQuest is where I think I'm the most proud about what I've been able to do with a lot of really top-notch products.
Wow. Wow, just wow. The chat's activated when you said
Serenity.
Serenity, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Right, couple
let me
infos because before we're gonna go to talk about the main topic of today's episode. So a little bit of an ad for us. So we can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, blah blah blah, Anchor FM, and other many other places where you can listen to us now in English. Apparently, first time ever.
Hey, two languages. This is brilliant.
So as I said before, Jason, please be gentle with us. This is the first time we talk in English online. If you like, if you like to see more, you can visit us on our social media, which is RPGadka on Facebook, and also our private one, so Onion Igre on, like that's mine, and Diabel's. Diabelskie Versety on Facebook for Diabel. There is a Twitch that you are currently on Twitch, which is Onion Igre, and then there is an Instagram Onion Igre, and then there is Diabelus Twitter at Diabelus. Yes, and
Twitch.
yeah, and Jason, is there any public place on social media that you would like to share with people at the moment, or not really?
No, I mostly use Facebook as my primary means of communication. I don't really spend a lot of time on Twitter and I don't have a personal website or anything like that. I'm quite lazy.
Cool.
about such
Cool.
things.
That's healthy. That's
Um,
healthy. That's really
Well,
healthy.
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
You can always follow Chaosium at Facebook because there will be information about the works
Yeah.
of Jason there.
Yes, if you want to find out what I'm up to, probably check out Chaosium on Facebook or their blog, and that will get you the most information about what I'm doing. And there are a lot of RuneQuest groups on Facebook as well.
Definitely will do.
We're
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
Actually, I never played RuneQuest.
Oh, well, we're going to have to fix that the next time we meet.
A friend of mine was trying to convince me to play, and the way he's talking about it, it's yes, it is very tempting to play, but just no time whatsoever yet.
Oh, well, yeah. Let me know if you ever want to play a demo or whatnot. No strings attached, a simple one shot. I can set you up.
There you go. This is
I'm
how you
cool.
get a game.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So, just chat is crazy today. I mean, I've never seen them as live as today. But just so everybody knows, everybody's seeing us for the first time or not, we are broadcasting live. So if you are live at the moment and if you have questions, there is a slight chance that we will read them and reply on Vision. So feel free to write. If you're lucky, we might read it. Cool.
Okay. So, what is today's topic?
Well, today's topic is what we drink and what we eat, or basically not only us, but the characters as well, during the role-playing games, the sessions. But before we go to the main course of today's episode, a question.
Right, that's the appetizer.
The question that Devil himself wrote for us, and I'll let you read it.
The devil's question. Okay. So, I had a discussion today about PBTA games, and it reminded me about one thing. I don't like failure as a mechanic, so to push the game forward. So, do you like the kind of mechanics in the game, the failure as a way to push game forward, or there's something against it for you? So maybe Jason, what do you think?
All right. Well, it's funny. I've done a lot of work with, Chaosium's basic role-playing system, which is very much, it's a very binary system. You roll, you either fail, or you succeed and you move forward. There are degrees of success, and then there are degrees of failure, but it's pretty straightforward. But that said, my inclination is, as a game master, is that I think that we are all of us ultimately telling stories. And a stone wall of you fail, everything, you stand there, just can't get over the wall, can't proceed, is boring. And so to me, I actually try to narrate with the point that I do work failure as a possibility into the story. I don't necessarily think it's the ideal. I mean, players don't want to fail, but I think that they can definitely move forward and continue on. And I think of, for example, a great quote is, here's a question for you two. What's the best Star Wars movie?
New Hope.
Prosper?
What's that? New Hope? Good answer, good answer. How about you, Diablo?
He's a Star Trek guy. Yeah.
Anyway, most people would either argue Star Trek: A New Hope or Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back. And for example, in that you have Luke You know, he's on his hero's journey.
Mhm.
He confronts the shadow self in the temple, you know, in the dark shrine on Dagobah. He gets his training from Yoda. He goes forward to confront his, his enemy, Darth Vader. He's got to rescue his friends. Everything is set up for him to be a hero in this sequence. He confronts Darth Vader. He gets his ass kicked horribly. I mean, he's maimed, his hand is cut off, he's dropped off of a city,
Yep.
basically. He doesn't rescue his friends. They're fine. They got it on their own. He didn't rescue Han Solo. They have to do that later. He didn't rescue Leia. He did nothing, basically. There's absolutely no way whatsoever in which Luke Skywalker succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
In Empire Strikes Back, and yet his journey is epic, and that moves the story forward so much. You learn something about him that shakes him to the core. The story now advances. The rebels are on the run. They need to figure out how to rescue Han. Luke needs to recover from his injuries. And so I think that, for example, that is a great example of a case where failure can move a story forward, that it doesn't necessarily stop everything, that you can actually succeed and have things happen. And I think that that's where a lot of great drama happens in RPGs. And so I don't think that, for example, a story needs to end when a player fails a roll. And in some cases, that can actually open up a lot of more dramatic opportunities. I'm personally a little bit on the other side of the fence in mechanics where players can spend points to overcome. Like if you get a bad roll, can I spend some points and re-roll, or can I move the results from a fail to a success? I find at that point, I'm like, why not just play a diceless RPG? And I love, Amber diceless role-playing. I wrote a diceless RPG, Lords of Gossamer and Shadow, and I'm not criticizing diceless RPGs at all, but I'm like, if the dice are not respected as the outcome, then, if you're like constantly coming up with ways to ignore the results of the dice or re-roll results you don't like, then, maybe you don't need dice at all. And so if you're going to have dice, I think you need to accept the fact that failure should be an option.
I just can't disagree with that, really.
Well, you should, because otherwise, we don't have a debate.
Well,
I mean, a counterpoint.
I believe Diablo's gonna disagree with that at some point. Am I wrong or not?
Brilliant.
But wait a second, because my connection is breaking.
Yes,
Oh,
you
no.
look terrible. Just to follow on that, I mean, I guess I liked if the mechanics gives you the player a way of like re-rolling or just manipulating the dice at some point to some extent, not like constantly, not forever, not with every roll, but at some point, like luck mechanics in Cthulhu, or like luck points in Warhammer. There's like, you got 1, 3, maybe up to 5 times that you can use it, and then you you don't have
Sure.
the pool. That's done, and you can choose whether it's going to be important role or not important role. Players come up with like really weird moments to spend those, and it's okay, right? And it's okay. At some point, I believe, on the other hand, failing it's crucial and absolutely necessary to develop a character and develop a story. But I do love fail-forward players through the story.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
just
I
like,
mean-
basically, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think, what's his name? Is it Dave Chapman? I think was the author of the Doctor Who RPG,
Yeah.
which I absolutely loved. They sort of quantified that yes, but no, and
Yeah.
the sort of answers where the yes but was like you succeed, but something happens that isn't necessarily ideal, or the no and it's like you fail, but maybe something else is there, and
This
even
is-
the
Yeah.
I was going to say the old West End games with their whole, they had that whole wild dice for the Star Wars RPG, the D6 version, where, they described it as the Millennium Falcon gets out of the Death Star, but it hits a strut and knocks off its antenna
Yeah.
because something bad happened there, some unfortunate complication. It's not a significant one, but it did, was
Complication.
annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes and no, but this is I think one of the best inventions ever in role-playing games. One of them. But gave a lot of player a point of view, and like game masters a point of view that is essential to run in like smooth story. With roles.
Well, that's okay, but I don't like that. I really don't like that. Because from my perspective, when I'm playing the game, I don't want to fail some tests. I want to move forward, and I want to move forward the way my character thinks. Okay, sometimes I fail, but if I fail, don't give me that I failed, but you will get what you wanted. Okay, but I failed. What do you want to give me I wanted? I failed. It's not like my character made a slight opportunity for sixth time in the game that, oh, you failed, but still, you're gonna get what you want with some complication. It doesn't sound so good for me.
Okay,
From
so
my
it's really what you're saying is you don't like it when you fail, but you're basically given the same reward as when you succeed.
Yeah.
Mostly, yes.
It's like, oh yes, it's the same reward, but there's some lemon juice on it, or it's not quite as nice. Okay, and is this both as a game master and as a player? You have this feeling?
As a game master, I run with the game. I run with the mechanics, and I run what the players are telling me. So when the players fail, they fail. They will have to find another way, for example, to open this door, or they will have to find another way to get inside, and that way won't work. Of course, if there's a possibility like this door, they will open it if they will try for long enough. Okay, then do not roll. They will just open it. So that's the other thing. Yes, we have to roll when you need to roll, and not roll every time. So you have to find the moment in the story that you need to test. And if the test fails, why should I give them some kind of reward? There's many things I can do to push the story forward and not give them the expected result.
Right. Well, like for example, I would say doesn't Call of Cthulhu's pushing mechanic
Yep.
work in that sort of a way, in that uh, you push and you accept that because you're re-rolling and you're pushing, you're going to have some sort of a complication, but if you succeed, you'll still get what you want. You get what you want, but it's not as good. It's not as clean, so to speak.
Well, if I remember correctly, that mechanics then, if you fail the roll, you can push it, and then you either gonna get the result if you hit
Oh,
the,
that's it. Yeah.
or
So,
you're gonna fail it with some even more complications if you fail it again.
I think I'm much harsher as a game master, in that I always say, "Oh, if you failed and you push, it's not going to be as great, but you'll manage to squeak by. You'll get a mediocre result."
Yes,
I'm
okay,
a
but
lot more,
well, to be honest, I don't like the basic role-playing mechanics.
okay.
I shouldn't tell that to you probably.
All right, that's it. I'm out of here.
Well, okay, we're done, people. Let's go home.
Yeah, but still,
No, but on the other hand, I do like it, so there you go.
I don't like the D100 for
No?
because that's dice. Yeah. It's two D10s, and D10s are not the best game dice for me. So
Well, it's wonderful that we are in an industry where everyone can have a game that suits them perfectly, and
Yep.
a mechanic and whatnot.
Yep. So basically, I don't like pushing the game forward with mostly the same result because players failed. They have to think of something else, and of course, there's few options because we are in battle or we are under some kind of test, like to open a door or move forward somewhere else. So you have to take a look at it in those ways. When you in battle start to manipulate things like, okay, you didn't hit actually as good as you like, but you still hit it. So it's really bad for the game.
Okay.
Like if you
Have you
play the game when you have to fight and the fight is important part of the game, then you shouldn't mess with that.
played any like Amber diceless role playing?
I didn't play it. I heard about it, and I don't know.
Okay, well, there's actually, I mean, what you are describing is almost exactly the way that players are supposed to be playing the game. In that, for example, if all of your physical combat skills fall under a warfare attribute. Um, and so if you are fighting somebody and they are better at you in sword fighting, like you're going toe to toe with a sword fighter and you recognize that they're better than you in the diceless world, unless you can change the circumstances of the fighting, and this is where the role playing comes in, you can try to introduce complications or whatnot, they are going to win. They will beat you every time. They're just better. And so the role playing aspect of that is you decide to change the battle. Like, you're in the middle of a sword fight with somebody and they are
It's higher ground.
yeah, they're higher ground. That would be a way to change to try to get an advantage in that game, in that character or that attribute. You're saying I'm sword fighting somebody. I'm going to seek the higher ground. I'm going to try to get the sun in their eyes. I'm going to do this and that. But you might also say I'm going to take whatever hit they can give me, and I'm going to just grapple them. I'm going to try to pin them to the point where they can't sword fight me anymore. Now we're wrestling, and and it's going to be of just strength versus strength. Like, can I then beat the crap out of this person, rather than trying to go sword versus sword? Or if you have a higher endurance than them, you might decide, okay, I know that they're a better swordsman than I am, but I know that I can outlast them, so I'm going to keep fighting. I'm just going to keep fighting a very defensive fight, and I'm going to try to wear them out. And so, like Amber, for example, and other diceless games like this actually do offer the, when failure is the result or the expected result, you can actually try to shift. You start playing a different game, basically. You change your tactics. And I think that also is a sort of a fail-forward mechanic in that you get told, like, okay, I'm the third best swordsman in the realm. If I'm going up against the first best swordsman in the realm, he will kill me. There's no question about it. He will kill me. But I'm stronger than him. So, I'm going to let him, he may stick me, he may like run his sword through my belly, but I'm going to then get hold of him and I'm going to break his neck. And so,
Fair.
yeah.
Absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, though, but I think that's an interesting way to approach that kind of mechanic, and so I would encourage you, if you get the chance, to try to play one of these diceless games.
We have to try at some point. Maybe later.
Play all the games.
Yeah, I would love to play all the games. It's so
Yeah, but still one problem for me with the Amber diceless. It's diceless. And I love to roll.
not a problem for me.
Well, it's funny because the designer of the game.
I don't have to roll.
Well, the designer of the game, Eric Wujik, he told me that when he was originally working on the game, he always imagined that dice would eventually come into the mechanics. he said like, okay, so this is how I want it to work. And then eventually there's going to come a point where I have to have dice. And he just never hit that point.
Okay.
He just he just got so far and he went, wait a second, I really don't need dice. And then suddenly he's like, oh,
Wow.
that's a selling point. That's the epiphany.
Wow.
You
Okay,
know,
that's interesting.
That's the unique thing about this game is that it doesn't need dice. But he had always intended, like the early prototypes of the game had dice. But the final version just ended up where he stripped everything down to the basic game, and he started designing from there. He just never got to the point where he said, okay, now I need to have dice.
Wow, that's cool. That's something I didn't know. Amazing
Yeah,
story.
and I mean, Eric kind of mentored me in game design, and that was something of a thing he sort of taught me. It was like, always ask yourself, do we really need this mechanic? Like, is this mechanic necessary for playing the game?
Yeah,
Does it support the game, or is it something you're just bringing in?
This is a
because of
question. This is a question. Sorry to interrupt, but this is the question: do you really need these mechanics? This question shows up quite a lot when we talk to different people about games and creating them and like just game creation in general. Like lots of people say, oh, when you do stuff or when someone's creating a game, just ask yourself, do you really need this? And
I mean, has anyone actually enjoyed encumbrance rules in a game? I mean, yes. Like, has anyone gone, oh, I really hope they've got some really clever encumbrance rules for this game because, worrying about how much I'm carrying is always something important. Or falling damage.
yeah,
Seriously?
yeah,
It's in
There was a
every
point
game.
in game design that every game had those rules, and there was some point we tried to follow them. Oh my god, it was so bad.
I would love encumbrance rules in games to just be like, seriously, how much are you carrying? If it seems reasonable, it's okay. If it doesn't, then don't carry that much.
and it's sorted.
Yes, I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right. That
Okay,
good topic.
maybe
Good
let's-
talk. Good topic.
appetizer.
Yes.
Yep. And now to the main course.
Right. So let's talk about food. So let's start with the first one. This one that you wrote. I'll let you start.
Yes. Okay. So basically, the first thing we have to ask ourselves before we start talking about food in role-playing games and drinks. So, what usually do you eat at the games? So, Jason, what do you
Okay.
usually eat at the games?
Well, right now in Berlin, prior to the pandemic, I had 2 regular gaming groups, and then, a few others. One of the groups we met out in Charlottenburg. That was my editor-in-chief, Jeff Richards, Chaosium. And we usually had barbecue. Anytime that the weather permitted, he would get his grill going, and we would grill some sausage. His wife Claudia would make some food, and then of course everyone brought things like hummus and chips and crackers and Duplo. Like Sven would eat just an insane amount of Duplo bars, those little kind of poor quality chocolate bars. And the stuffed peppers and olives always made a point. And so these kinds of things always showed up at the table. My other group was the Coriolis group, where I'm the game master, and that's actually it kind of started out of the blue. It evolved from a Pendragon game that one of my players was running, and we ended up switching over to me running Coriolis. And in that game, I've actually made a point. We normally played on Sundays, which meant that our food options were limited to, if you prepared ahead of time, you could get some food. But in Berlin, a lot of grocery stores are closed on Sundays. It's kind of a thing here. So most of the food you could get had to be purchased. If you were shopping for your gaming food, you had to do it on a Sunday. And usually there were only some convenience stores. So in my case, there was a Syrian Spadi, a convenience store quite close to the gaming location. And so I found that I would always be buying a lot of Mediterranean or Middle Eastern food, which was perfect for Coriolis, which is basically Arabian Nights in space.
Wow.
And so the food we were bringing was, hummus and olives and baklava and all of these, some pita bread, and a variety of other things that worked quite well for evoking that whole Middle Eastern thing. Like back in America, gaming food was often stuff like chips and salsa, pizza, all sorts of various things like that.
Sure.
And then I should also mention that I think I brought this up in the earlier when we were chatting, but I've noticed that there have been pretty much 3 different styles of how to eat for gaming sessions. There's gaming where you sort of have a shared meal,
Yep.
and frequently, like somebody makes, something that everybody can eat. It's oftentimes something like spaghetti or, some kind of pasta, something that can feed a lot of people easily. And you sort of share. You all have plates. You eat with forks and
Sure.
knives.
Yeah, it's just a like a vase with like a sauce and then the pasta and just like grab it. Sounds
Typically,
cool.
but you're eating as a communal thing. You're sharing the same food, and there's sort of I think that brings people together in a way that everyone bringing their own stuff doesn't. And and then there's the other sort of ways where everyone brings some snacks. There's the like halfway through the game, you all break and order a bunch of pizza or whatnot. And I guess there's a 4th way that I was thinking of, which I almost never see, is the where people just bring their own food. And that's something that I find is a little strange to me, but I think it's common among gaming groups where the people aren't necessarily friends outside the game, like where a lot of strangers who only really meet to play the games, and that's where you end up with people, they pick up fast food or they bring, a doner and they eat it by themselves and they don't really bring food to share. And even though that's a perfectly legitimate way to who am I to argue how people should eat and game? I always find that is, sharing food and breaking bread together, as they say, is a fundamental thing that makes us sort of human. It's a way that we connect, and to not do that at such a social event as a gaming thing seems like a lost opportunity.
Cool. I've seen a lot of common things in what you said with what I've experienced. Like basically, well, not pasta. Haven't had a pasta when playing game, but like common food to share. Had a situation a couple times when we played like Warhammer a long time ago, and a friend of mine who loved cooking. Basically, every time we played at his place, he prepared like a roast chicken or something like that. Just place it on the table, like potatoes and stuff, and then we just all share it. That was cool. But I was like, he liked cooking, so he was doing it. That's it. Apart from that, most of the food we've got, like on my side, would be pizza or like stuff like fast foods like that. You can buy one and share between everybody, plus lots of snacks on top of it. So like chocolate bars and
Right, yeah.
peanuts. But I guess that's really something that you can get everywhere. Like if people bring something, if they know each other at least a bit, they will bring some chips and peanuts or whatever, and just put it in a bowl on the middle of the table. And I guess that's a common, yeah.
Slice some sausages or some potato chips or some all that kind of stuff. It's all common.
And there is this guy who don't eat at all when playing game, and he's looking at us and he's like, "What are you talking about? Is it not?"
Well, the thing is, I don't eat right now when I'm playing because, well, we're playing online, yes. But where there was a good time where I'm playing at the table with my friends, there's always snacks, only snacks, nothing more. Not pizza, not other fast foods, not even at dinner, only snacks. So basically, there was only just snacks.
Okay.
And maybe it's plain looking at food at the table, but still, well, nobody at our uh, group wanted to do anything more, and we didn't want to drop the game by getting the pizza and so on. So like, we just always brought snacks and okay, and fruits, of course, because my wife is always we need to be healthy, so we don't eat that much of snacks and sweets and so on. Just eat the fruits.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up the difference now that many of us are almost exclusively playing online RPGs because we're game mastering and we're playing with webcams and whatnot. Which is, do you think that you are eating as much or less than when you're playing? I mean, now that you're sitting at home with a camera pointing at you, not looking at a table full of snacks or fruit or pizza or anything, are you eating less or more as a game master or a player?
Definitely, I'm eating less, but for me, the thing started before the pandemic. Like, I moved from the Poland to the US, and all my players are in Poland. So I could choose to find a group here, but still, I want to play with my friends from Poland. So
Right, right.
I did it like that. So yeah, okay. So most of the snacks were delivered by the group that was playing with me. So so no
Yeah,
snacks.
players bring the snacks always.
Right.
Like my case, I eat more when I play online. On the other hand, I'm playing online for past 5 years, right, straight. Nearly exclusively online. Not like I play live at the table at events, and recently found a group here in Edinburgh that plays with me D&D, but it's not as often as I would love to. So like, let's say there's 8 games a week that I'm playing online, and there's always something on the table. There's nothing at the moment, which is strange, which is make me feel a bit uncertain. But there's always something here, like a slice of pizza somewhere, an ice cream cone, like peanuts, and like there's a lot more food when I'm playing online. So
Yeah, as a game master, I find it's actually a relief to not be dealing with a plate of food or trying to, they're talking and eating at the same time I'm gaming. I eat dinner and then I run a game. I don't ever combine the two these days. So I wonder what it'll be like when things are more relaxed and we start socializing again and connecting and coming together as gamers in real space. Like, am I going to be like, I don't need to eat anything, thanks. I didn't even think to bring snacks. I don't know.
I think we're gonna go back to it. I mean, if like from my perspective, you say about the eating at the table as it is like a great part of playing the game. So I believe it won't change for you as much. I might be wrong though, but I think it might be slight changes. Like you mentioned earlier, that you might not dip the chips in the same bowl of like salsa, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Salsa or hummus,
Yeah.
the whole, you might find a lot of shared dips not as common, or everyone will be a little more careful about, getting the snacks out of the bowl
Bag,
to
yeah.
make sure that adds a lot more. I don't know, but then I mean, it's a tricky thing. I mean, are we going to play in real space with people that we think might be infectious? I don't know. So it's a whole new world.
Yeah, lots of changes, definitely. But let's I'm gonna drop another question because it bugs me. And you said you've got an answer to that. So was there ever a certain food or snack that you associated with a certain title, with a certain game? And my example is sauerkraut and schnapps when playing Warhammer, or maybe fish and chips when playing Pendragon, or something like that. You know the point. You get the point.
Yeah, okay. Those food associations don't make any sense to me, but who am I to say? Well, like I've already mentioned, I said Coriolis. Just by the necessity of the fact that I have to shop at Mediterranean, Middle Eastern grocery grocery stores. All of our snack food is Levantine bread and hummus and chickpea dips and like olives and baklava and all of these foods that are eaten traditionally in that Middle Eastern setting. It's wonderful for playing a game like Coriolis, where you end up actually doing that. With Pendragon, I was in the habit of bringing a bottle of mead along with
That makes sense.
the group. Yeah, mead or a wine, something like that. RuneQuest, whenever we were playing over at Jeff's place, because a lot of the action was occurring in what is basically wine country in the setting in Glorantha, the area of Sartor. So wine was often drunk as a sort of a like bringing in that reality element
Yeah.
of that.
Ah.
I've played Call of Cthulhu games where like your hard-boiled detectives, everyone brought out some whiskey and drank that, and whatnot. I think that it is possible to bring in alcohol or food to evoke a feeling of the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that would be eaten in that culture. Oh, and Gary B, who I'll name drop. He does another podcast. If it's okay, if I
Of course,
name
yes,
drop.
of course, absolutely.
Okay, he does a podcast called, I think, What Would the Smart Party Do? He ran a Tales from the Loop game where he had just an enormous amount of like candy that seemed to be like 80s themed, like these candies that had been around forever.
Right,
It's just fun to play that because even though I really don't enjoy just eating a lot of sugar at a gaming table because it, I kind of crash a little bit. But it was just sort of fun to see all this like, little 80s style snack candy at a game where you're playing like 13-year-old kids having adventures, and that's exactly the sort of stuff they would have been eating.
Yep. Have to agree to that.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So we
Oh,
have to have really oranżada from Polish
Yeah, so it's
parallel.
like a carbonated drink in a glass bottle. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I would say one thing. I played a Feng Shui game once where I brought in a box of fortune cookies, and we used like there was a fortune cookie factory near my apartment in Seattle when I lived there, and you could get a big plastic tub of fortune cookies for like $3 or $4. And so I would bring those in, and we would have a little fun, and we'd actually use the fortune cookies to determine what happened next in the game. Instead of rolling dice, you would like crack open a fortune, and if the fortune applied, then you could use that as a means of, if it applied to the situation, it was great. I mean, after I would say 2 or 3 fortune cookies, you really don't want to eat any more fortune cookies. But, they're not a food you could just keep eating, but the fortunes themselves were quite nice, and I actually encourage anyone who's playing Feng Shui to bring out some fortune cookies in their gaming. You'll never go back.
It's gonna happen at some point. It's definitely gonna happen. I'm on it.
Yes, that
And
sounds.
some of them even print lottery numbers on the back of the little piece of paper, and so you can use that's your random dice mechanic there. Just figure out a way to use those numbers as a random dice order, and there you go.
But that reminds me, when I played with my friend Lucek, that he had, I don't know, it was his idea or it was something that he copied from someone else. He had some game. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but the mechanic of the game was there's a pot of sweets at the table, and if you want to take a challenge, you have to take a sweet. And if there are some sweets after the game in the pot, that's your XP.
Okay.
Wow.
I think
So-
that would only work if the sweets were good. If they were actually tasty. If they were disgusting, or
He
You
had
know.
them tasty, so you have to okay, I want the XP, but this is so good.
This is really good. This is really good.
That was funny. I don't know if it was his idea or it was someone else copied from someone, but still, it was really funny.
I remember once when I was living in Japan, I was playing an RPG, and there was a whole type of these little pressed candies that were just numbers. And so my friends and I were thinking that we should come up with a game where you just draw from a bag, and you whatever number you get is your roll. But again, just eating a lot of pressed sugar didn't seem that great.
Well,
Ultimately, not a great idea. There's only so much before you go, ugh, do I really want to be eating this?
definitely not healthy. Yes. Ouch.
So, Dredo, please tell me,
Yeah.
why Pendragon is associated with fish and chips in your mind?
I don't know. That was the first thing that came to my head. Just-
Okay, yeah, I was thinking roast boar.
yes, I know. I'm sorry. It's just, you know, living in UK just corrupted my mind. Sorry about that. I mean, yes, the second thought was like, yes, like gammon, like no gammon, game. Sorry, like you know, like wild boar or something, mead and like
No.
stuff like that. It's like, why fish and chips? Sorry, I just like it's.
English.
I'm so sorry about that.
If you were playing a cyberpunk game, maybe you could just eat processed food bars, you know.
Probably yes. That's
Everything into a plastic bar,
yeah.
you know, Cliff bars and energy nutrient bars,
Drink
fruit leather.
drink Monster, yeah, and just like set up nice lighting in your house. Like, yeah, let's play some game.
Oh. Really paranoia too.
Yeah.
Thinking that way, you could sort out all the jelly beans into different colors, and you could say, well, you're only cleared for now. You've got yellow clearance, so you can have the lemon jelly beans.
Fun. But yes, yeah. Yeah. Sorry about the fish and chips. It's just
No, it's just confusing. I guess, I mean, if you've only played Pendragon in England or with English people, then maybe it makes sense. I was a little confused.
yeah. In here, lots of things that doesn't make sense usually make sense in Scotland or in England. So it's yeah.
Well, I mean, I played a few games in the UK where I just associate them with Indian food, even though I've never played an Indian.
This makes so
RPG.
much sense actually.
Yeah, I mean, but I just think, oh, Indian takeout. Of course, that's what we eat when we play, you know, this game.
About Pendragon, one thing, I've got a friend of mine who just texted me offline, and he just wanted to say hi. Just a little shout out to Carvel who bought me the newest Pendragon, so I'm on it at the moment thanks to him, and he just wanted to say hi.
I don't work on Pendragon, but it's a Chaosium game, and I think Pendragon is the best.
Yeah,
written
and
RPG.
he's also fanatic of RuneQuest as well. So one of few
Oh, good.
people, yeah, in Poland, I guess.
Cool. Well, there will be more. I'm
Definitely.
We're working on it every
you
day.
can talk about it, yeah.
we're slowly bringing in the Polish fan base and exposing them to RuneQuest, and they've been very passionate about it, actually.
Yeah, I heard about that. Adam Wieczorek received RuneQuest from Jeff.
Yes,
Adam is the line editor for the Black Moss Call of Cthulhu Polish edition.
Yes,
So
yes.
I
And we've
think
got-
I think I know what he's working on next.
Yeah, and we've got Daria, from Black Monk also playing RuneQuest. So
Yep. It's gonna be
I think
fun.
Michael played, and when we went to Carcosacon, there was definitely a very strong RuneQuest presence there.
Yep,
Fun,
I
fun,
confirm.
fun.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Well,
And
well,
I also
well.
saw a lot of other things I didn't want to saw. So
Okay.
like, oh my God, mm, in the morning, damn. Not Can Hide, Robin Delos in the morning. Oh my God.
I'm here. I know Robin. Robin is, I would say, a friend. What do you mean by this?
I was he got a, so much hangover.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Very, very.
Uncomprehendable.
And there was also one guy from the US who had like 19 years. So in the US he wasn't able to drink, but in Poland it's legal for him to drink.
Oh,
Opportunist, eh?
Yes, so it was also like, oh my God, what they did to him.
oh no, I don't know anything about that.
Please don't drink in Poland when
With
you are
Polish
a
people,
white
yes.
person.
Be careful.
Yes.
Yes, I love Poland. I have had a wonderful time every time I've visited, and I'm one of the things I'm looking forward to with the pandemic, when things get a little safer, is going back to Poland and visiting some of the awesome people I met there. But yeah, every night I had to just stop early. As soon as the alcohol started flowing, I was like, this is not going to end well for
Yep.
future James. He knows what will come, so he's going to just say, get out of there. And so I managed to escape quite early.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah.
move. Yeah. Well, we would show you around. We would love to show you around when you're next time in Poland, but well.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it will happen, but it'll just be a question of when.
Cool.
Yeah. I think the possible way is that in this year probably not, even if Carcosacon was delayed to the November, I think. Yes?
Mm.
Or they changed it already.
Can't remember.
I'm entirely sure. It's actually been a bit crazy watching all of the conventions.
Moved,
I mean,
yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
I looked at my calendar and I realized I would have taken 7 trips by now to various conventions.
Wow.
I mean, and only in May. I was pretty much traveling every other weekend, and everything has been cleared on
Yeah.
my calendar.
Incredible, absolutely. Hopefully never gonna happen again. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Well,
But,
the world will go back to normal
yeah.
sooner or later. Probably later than sooner, but still, it will go back to normal and we'll be at some convention in some time. So
And-
probably we'll catch up
Yes.
someday. I don't know if it will be in Poland or in US, but probably not in Germany.
Hmm. Maybe not. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, there's this.
I think we missed one question there somewhere. It's somewhere in the middle. It's a question about, do we ever think about the food that we serve to player characters? Well,
Yeah.
we focus about the real world conventions,
Right.
games and stuff. It was cool. It went all right. But that one last question, I guess. Let's ask the question. Do you ever think about what you serve to the player characters? And let's start with Jason.
Okay. All right.
I was thinking about Diablo for a second, but I know his answer. So
Okay. I am actually, because I'm a big food eater. I love to eat. I love to cook. I love to go to interesting restaurants. And when I travel, one of the main things I do is I explore the food culture of different places I go. So to me, food is something that characters do. And so I enjoy describing food in games. If I'm playing a Lord of the Rings game, I describe like, what do you eat in Rivendell? Is it the kind of like, oh, it's a plant food. It's here's their lembas bread, and here's how it tastes, and here's the kind of tea you would drink, and here's what you would eat if you were with hobbits, and here's what you would eat if you were in Rohan. In Glorantha, I talk about the various foods, and I think it's important to sort of give people this feeling of what is like, to ground them in that. I don't think that there's a lot of interest in like describing a feast, like course by course. I mean, we're not writing fiction, but I sometimes it is a wonderful character bit
Sure.
to describe that. For example, I ran, I mentioned when I lived in Seattle, I ran a lot of Feng Shui, and the characters would always be ending up in Chinese restaurants because it seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, describing like what's coming out of the kitchen and the smells of, egg rolls and mushu pork and all of these kinds of food, it sort of had an interesting, it sort of added a level of, I guess, it helped the players get into character a little more
Sure.
when they were thinking what their players would be eating, And
Sure.
I've always, as a player, always enjoyed describing the kinds of things my characters might be eating, and sometimes it's a character quirk, like I might have a character who's always got a bag of nuts he's eating out of, or always seems to be, chewing on something or eating cheap vending machine food. And I think that those are interesting character options to explore. So that's my answer to that question.
Fair answer. Fair answer.
Yeah,
What
I quite enjoy it.
What about you? Because I see you laughing, and I know your answer. Say it. Just say it.
Because I when I'm running the game, I always forget about what there will be at the tavern to eat, what there will be options for the players to eat. I don't remember about things like that. So when they come to the tavern and they ask for the food, okay, so what's on table today? And a duck?
And then where did you get the ducks from? There's no ducks around here. But yeah, we had like half an hour, like good half an hour playing, just thinking, did you get the ducks from?
No,
Usually we're
I
playing
tend to enjoy
Amadera, so there are no ducks there in this world.
So if you're ever in doubt, just say stew, and then everybody there's
Absolutely.
somewhere to go. People will
Yeah,
bring their
that's
own answers to
General
that,
things,
they'll
yeah.
say,
Stew, soup, right?
And
Done.
it will work. It will work even for the sci-fi games. So yes.
Sure, yeah, it's just a bunch of rice and some sort of there's bits of processed baked meat,
Yeah.
but it's kind of stew. Okay, great. And I go into a tavern in Hobbit Town, and it's got rabbit stew with carrots and turnips and leeks and all sorts of delightful stuff. Stew is the ever popular quick answer if you ever are in doubt about what to have characters eat in a fantasy setting.
Absolutely. Yeah, generic options are good if you don't like to think about like specific things that could be eaten at the place.
Yeah. Or a modern game, noodles.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
All right.
And what about you, Dredu?
Yeah.
I too like describe food. Sometimes. I mean, I like to think about like the specific region the players are at the moment and what could be there, and just describe like regional foods. Just like it. I like describe stuff in general. So food is one of the things. That's it. But on the other hand, there's also a good option for like play a little trick on players sometimes. Like I used once a food to play with with players, like make a joke. They asked what's the main course of the day, and I was like, well, baked beans. Baked beans? Or you mean baked beans? Oh yeah, baked beans. So they got the baked beans, and one of them got the plate full of like something I described as basically you've seen baked beans like in tomato sauce with toast or something, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah. So you eat it, and it's a bit more crunchy or something, but it's like good, you know, it's good, it's alright, tomato sauce and stuff. And the second player got the same meal, but instead of like bunch of like small beans, you got like two big buffalo balls, and it's the same thing. And then after realization, it's like, oh shit, what we eating at the moment? It was, yeah, that was a bit of a fun kind of a thing. So things like that could be used, and I like it. different pieces.
You know, again, Pendragon too. Feasts are an important part of almost any Pendragon game, and so to the point where there's even like rolls on the feast table, and they describe like what courses would be coming out in what order, and what is a feast, what is a bad feast, what is, you know, the minimum acceptable level of feasts. So I think that there's a lot of room for that. And I mean, I should plug Chaosium. I'm working with one of our local players, Claudia, with a Gloranthan RuneQuest cookbook, where she's actually making all of these foods that would be, you know, the Earth approximation of these dishes from these different cultures, and she's going to write it up. I think she's almost done, actually. It'll be a cookbook with descriptions of what it's like to travel to these places and the food cultures in each area. So it will be basically a cooking travel guide for a fictional world.
This is so cool.
Yeah. I keep thinking that we should probably add some game mechanics to it, like making this feast requires a challenging roll of your, you know, this kind of roll, or it costs this much, you know, gold to throw a feast like this, but we'll see.
Or take D20 pieces of meat.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and anyway, I think that there's a lot of I think that people enjoy that kind of stuff, actually.
Sure.
That kind
Absolutely.
of level.
Yeah.
I'm playing a computer game now, and it's got a lot of this like potion crafting and making food items from various herbs and plants you find in the wilderness, and I think that's something that people don't generally do in tabletop RPGs, you know. That's like almost exclusively a online or a computer game thing, where you're like collecting various kind of plants in the wilderness and bringing them back to your little workbench and making, you know, health potions or whatnot. But I think that describing something like that might be kind of fun for a book.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few players who like doing stuff like that. I mean, collecting ingredients and then cooking bits and pieces, like collecting soup ingredients to a cookbook, and then just each soup like does probably like not much mechanically, but yes, we're making it short, like D&D short rest. I'm cooking the bloody soup, right? And they absolutely love doing this, and like shout out to all of them, because it's fun. It's something different, and I absolutely love it to bits. But it doesn't happen very often. But when it happens, it got this little nice thing. And I enjoy that.
Cool.
Right. So I guess that's all we wanted.
All right.
I think before we end, I have a fun game. So let's ruin our RPGs by changing one letter in the name.
So what?
Let me start. ruin your RPG name with changing one letter. So let me start. Shadow Nun. Okay, nobody is catching
No.
it.
I
No.
know what you got. I understood. I was just thinking, oh. Yeah, that is an interesting. Well, I mean, you could take Rune Quest and make Dune Quest, which would be a very different game. Maybe two big IPs brought together into one.
That could be a cool mashup.
Hmm.
So take a game name and change the letter to create something different, right?
Yeah. Yes. Sedgwick Road.
Brilliant
Mall of
game.
Cthulhu.
Mall of Cthulhu, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. Let me just what I've got. Not much here.
Hmm.
Instead of Witcher, you could have Pitcher, the fantasy game.
Yeah, yeah. You know, trying to become a big league baseball player.
Yep.
Very exciting.
Well, there's another name of that. But
I've got two
we won't
bats.
say it here.
I've got two bats with me. One is for the balls and one is for the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
all
let's
right.
finish this.
Okay, that's done. Yeah. Okay.
That's stuff. Yeah, I'm getting hungry about this talk of food, and for me it's 3 p.m., so you know it's dinner time.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes. And for me, it's middle of the night, 10:18 Berlin time, Friday night. So it's what they
Yeah.
call fire oven here.
Yeah.
I'm
For
the
me,
cat.
So
for me, it's also a bit late. So let's
All right.
let's finish that. You will listen to RPGadka, and my name was Dredu.
I am Diabeł.
I'm
And?
Jason.
And good night.
Good night.
All right. Take care.